What is up, my friends? How are we? You are very welcome along to tonight's late night agenda. And just to answer Mr. Massive Nuts, I don't want to say his name out. It is an AI song, yes, mate. There's no way any of us to be able to carry a tune like that. So, welcome. Loads to get through today. We're going to be talking about the news that David Coote is sacked, that the Manchester City hearing has come to an end, albeit there have been some more charges added on. We're going to talk about the press conference today ahead of the game against Girona, and lots more in between. So as always, keep your comments coming in. Thank you for being at it, and appreciate you all for being here. Sorry, I'm still getting over the tail end of a cough and a cold, so I've been spending the last couple of days just sucking on lozenges and, swallowing cough bottles. It's been a trying couple of days. You know, when you're already tired and worn down, you're coughing and then you start irritating yourself. That's kind of where I'm at right now. Volkswagen Fanboy Reacts, welcome back as a member, mate. Thank you for extending your membership at Anfield Agenda FC. Dara Joyce, thank you, bro, as well. Of course, the first comment of the night wouldn't work on the back end system. Why would it? Of course, then the super chat disappears. This is just wonderful. Dara Joyce, thank you, mate, for your super chat that the system decided needed to be removed without me being able to bring it up on screen. So, yay. But thank you, mate. You didn't put a comment in anyway, but thank you, Dara Joyce, nonetheless, mate. So yes, how are we? So please go easy on me today. Don't be trying to come in and wind me up because I'm on a short temper today, and I'm trying to be smiley and polite and nice to everybody. So no winding me up today now, because I know some people come in just to try wind me up on occasion. So yeah, look, where do you want to start off with? I mean, I guess we could talk about the David Coote situation a little bit if you guys want. Would I ever go on Saturday Social? No. I've no interest in going on Sky or any of these, mate. I don't need it. I don't need the hassle. I don't need to go on there and talk about things I couldn't give a shite about. I'm happy enough right here. Thank you very much with, you guys. So, David Coote's been sacked. I guess there's two things to speak about here. There's the fact that there was probably no alternative for the PGMOL other than to end his employment. But we also got to speak about the fact that there's still a human side to this. So he has lost his job. I don't think that's going to come as a surprise to anybody. But like I said before, and I'll say it again, if he has issues in his personal life or he has issues around substance abuse or anything like that, I wish him the very best because it's a difficult road he has ahead of him. There's the human side to all of this that we have to think about as well. But there's a couple of bits of this that I don't like, which is, one, that this is now case closed. There's no more conversation to be had, perhaps, about the PGMOL and the officials and, lots of other bits and pieces and concerns that football fans have. I don't really have much more to add on the Coote stuff, I don't like taking cheap shots at people when they've been punished and all that stuff. We wanted it dealt with. It has been dealt with. Some of this stuff will probably remain confidential because it could be medically related and stuff like that as well. But we will read out the statement to you in a while as well that came from the PGMOL. But ultimately, he's lost his job. So, I don't really know where to go with it other than that. I don't think too many Liverpool fans are going to have too much sympathy with him. But, maybe I'm getting soft in my old age or whatever. But there is a human side to this, and all I can say is that if he does have any issues like that, I do hope he gets the help that is seemingly there for him. And the PGMOL have spoken about the fact that, they're going to continue to look after him from a human level. And that's absolutely, what you would expect in these scenarios. So, who's going to take his place? Oh, I don't know, George. I don't know the refereeing setup and system of the PGMOL to know how they're going to move that one along. So, I'm sure that they have a new crop of referees being trained up as we speak. Phenom said, I love the Anfield Agenda theme song. Thank you, bro. It wasn't me that made it. It was a guy named Connor, who's one of our viewers, who made it for us with AI and sent it on. And we do appreciate it because it makes me chill before I start streaming. So, let's move on, I think, a little bit. Shall we talk about... We'll talk about the presser a little bit. Ryan Gravenberch has been speaking about his fitness levels, how he's feeling with regular football, and this is what he had to say ahead of the game against Girona. He said, I feel good, I feel fit. When you play a lot of minutes, you get fitter and fitter, and for me, that's the thing. For me, the first season wasn't that frustrating. The aim was to play a lot more minutes than I did before I did. I'm happy to play 90 minutes again and show myself on the pitch. It's always good to hear these things from the players directly, isn't it? So Gravenberch feels that, of course, he's going to be a bit fatigued as he plays more and more, but he feels like his fitness is improving, and the more he plays, the better it's getting. So long may that continue. It's been an incredible start to the season for Ryan Gravenberch, and yeah, delighted to hear that he's feeling comfortable about life. He's feeling good. He's feeling healthy. These are the type of things we want to hear. So all good on that front. So Manchester United. Shall we move on to speak about them just for a brief second? Because just when you think that the Grinch that is Jim Ratcliffe has reached new Grinch levels, he has another level. So you won't believe this, but it has been posted by many United accounts and a few journalists to say Manchester United have cancelled their funded Christmas party. Club staff have been left disappointed. This comes amid growing tensions after the recent internal changes. And I think Melissa Reddy summed this up really well when she was speaking on Sky. She said that fans are starting to feel like they're paying the price for the failures of those above them. And they're spot on. I thought that was a very, very good way for I thought it was a very, very good way for us to get a gauge of where they're at. I think Melissa summed that up well. And they are. And it's not just at United, it's at any of these clubs. Whenever there is a mistake in the upper echelons, more often than not, it'll be paid for by the feet on the ground, the people that buy the tickets, the jerseys, and all the other stuff. Am I going to miss poor David Coote? No, look, don't get me wrong. I've got no sympathy for him. You know, I spoke about the brazen nature of it all. So openly doing these things, organising these type of extracurricular activities, shall we say. So no, I don't have any sympathy for him, but as a human being, if anybody has any substance abuse issues, I do hope that they get the help that they need, because addiction, if that is the case, and I don't know, it's a difficult demon. So, you know, all I care about is he's not going to be officiating over Liverpool games anymore. You know, move on. There was one more stat actually that while I was watching the press conference popped up, and I thought I'd read it out to you guys, and this came directly from Liverpool's own social media account. Said Mohamed Salah is 2 goals away from joining Billy Liddell in the joint 4th place in the club's all-time goal scoring list. Salah has 226 goals now in all competitions. It's just incredible to say that out loud, by the way. That Mo, if he scores 2 more, is then going to be joined with Billy Liddell, who is, you know, spoken about rightly so as an absolute icon of the club. And here we have a modern day player in Salah who hasn't even spent his entire career here as an example, and he's just 2 away from equaling that 228 there to move up to the 4th all-time Liverpool goal scoring charts. Absolutely incredible stuff. No doubt he will get them goals soon. So, right, let's go back to last night for a minute, and let's mention, and I am going to speak about the presser, transfers, contracts and all that other stuff, but I'm always mindful that it takes about 15-20 minutes for the chat to fill up. So let's go back to last night and Jamie Carragher for a minute, because of course I had my say on it all last night, and I don't want to go back over it again, other than a little bit of hypocrisy. So we spoke last night about Jamie Carragher calling out Anfield Edition and saying, you know, they didn't quote him directly, and saying that, you know, they're lazy and they're a shit account and all this other stuff that I felt was a little bit unnecessary. But it's the hypocrisy once again that catches me out here, because you can think whatever about what Jamie said about Anfield Edition, but Sky did the very same thing. Sky said the very same words in the very same quote, and it was, and I read exactly, I don't think there's a better player in the Premier League that's performed better than him. And then they said, Cara on Cole Palmer. So where's the fume from Carragher on this one? Have been taken out of context by his employers. So it's easy to bully Liverpool fan accounts and aggregate accounts. But, you know, I don't see him going in on Sky there as paymasters over the exact same quote used in the exact same way, only for he has a pair of bollocks when it's going in on a Liverpool fan account, but when it's going in on his paymasters, all silent from Jamie Carragher. It's almost like he's a massive fucking hypocrite. So that's all I really wanted to say on that. And no, Max, Carragher didn't own Anfield Edition. Carragher showed himself up as a fucking hypocrite yet again. So he in no way owned anybody, mate. And I'm not trying to defend Anfield Edition, by the way, because, you know, I know journalists who've been annoyed by them misquoting stuff before. But here, my point is, I don't see the same energy from Carragher. I don't see him on social media calling out Sky for the exact same quote. It just goes to show. They're all full of it. They have selective fucking morals. And they don't have a backbone. Because if he was that annoyed about being taken out of context, where's the same anger towards Sky? He won't do that, though, because he knows they pay the bills. So that's all I really wanted to touch on from that whole incident, because I don't want to rehash it all over again. We did take a poll last night on people around Carragher, and, you know, it seems Liverpool fans are a little bit annoyed by Carragher at the minute, and I totally understand it. I do. You know, as I said, I idolise Jamie as a player, but there's been a lot of stuff lately that has left Liverpool fans scratching their heads. So, David LFC96 said, United are losing the plot. You could have ended it there, mate, and we'd still have all agreed with you. But we'll go on, David, we'll go on. He said, I mean, when you look at the commitment levels of their players, it's a disgrace. Makes me even prouder of our boys and the way they leave everything on the pitch. You'll never walk alone. That's one thing I totally do agree with you there on, David. The attitude of our players, you know, there's been a rare occasion where I've been, you know, left a little bit wanting with attitudes, but more often than not, you're right, man, they leave it all out on the pitch, and yeah, you don't say what you want about how United is run, but there is definitely a case to be had about those players in the dressing room just not having the spirit, the fight to represent their club properly, and there's a lot of work to be done there. And as I mentioned, when Radcliffe came in, you know, it isn't going to be as straightforward as many United fans thought, because look at Nice. He's not exactly made that a resounding success either. So A. Schaefer said, Carragher going the own direction. Look, he's absolutely within his rights to have opinions. We're in the opinions business. You know, Carragher has a right to have an opinion. But again, I'm just talking about the fact it's easy to go on and shout at fan accounts and, you know, throw your weight around and all this other shit. But he's a hypocrite. And that's the part that winds me up. So, you know, Carragher's free to do what he wants, but, you know, it's been pointed out many, many times that Carragher has been speaking out of both sides of his mouth. Copster said he's become a job's worth. He has, but, you know, I'm going to stand over what I've said. As much as I've knocked Carragher on certain things, I still think he can be an excellent pundit. I wonder if him and Gary Neville just got too many things on the go. Because remember when they started Monday Night Football, that can be brilliant. Like, it was one of the most innovative shows, one of the most entertaining, in-depth shows, gave great analysis. I wish they'd just stick to that and leave us YouTubers to the YouTuber stuff, because we can do it a lot better. And we can talk a lot more straight-laced because, you know, we don't have to worry about Sky giving out to us. Right, so, a little bit on Alexis Mac Allister. And I don't want people to take this up the wrong way, because I think this was just a broader conversation. But Alexis Mac Allister was speaking a little bit about potentially moving to La Liga in the future. And he said, without a doubt, I'd like to play in Spain one day, but today I'm very comfortable at Liverpool. Now, this was part of a broader, more in-depth conversation, and I wouldn't read too much into it, in all honesty. I wouldn't be starting to say he's wanting out or anything like that. I don't think that's the case whatsoever. So, let's talk Man City for a minute, shall we? Because there's a couple of things that have come to light today around the whole Manchester City situation. So, we had some good reporting on this from Mike Keegan. And he said that the hearing into Manchester City's 115 Premier League charges has now concluded. But don't go celebrating just yet. Because it seems like no matter what the outcome is, whether City win, the Premier League win, it feels like there's going to be an appeal. And according to many journalists today, that appeal could end up dragging on to the end of next season. Not this season, next season. So we could have another year and a half of this drama unfolding. Now, there were a couple of things that also came to light. I'll read you out a couple of bits and pieces that were posted around this today. So, firstly, it's now 130 charges, not 115. So the charges have been upped. As I said, any potential appeal is going to have to be heard from either side. But I'm a little bit confused by this. Am I wrong? Or did Pep Guardiola, whilst addressing the media, you know, the same media that won't actually ask him a difficult question, has he or has he not said, we will, as we always do, respect the outcome of the decision? Something along those lines. I might be paraphrasing a little bit there, but he said something along the lines of, as we always have, we will accept the outcome. But they won't, and they haven't. So, let's wait and see. It is a piss take that this whole process has now got the potential to go 7.5 to 8 years. 7.5 to 8 years of everybody else being subjected to their potential shenanigans, while we all have to just go through year after year after year, knowing, feeling frustrated, but ultimately it feels like the crime in these things, the punishment never matches the crime, does it? Everybody always gets a benefit of the doubt and gets to drag it out over and longer and longer and longer and longer, while us poor saps just have to sit around and try and figure out if football has any morals left. So, that is what we took from today. Closing arguments are over. It is now up to that 3-panel jury to make their decision. And then when they communicate that decision, most likely in January or February, we're probably going to have an appeal from either side, which, as they mentioned, will probably drag on another year and a half. So, yeah. Welcome to football. It's madness. It's absolute madness. Money is power, unfortunately. It's crazy, like. But, you know, it is what it is. But, you know, for me, I think it's just making football fans more and more angry in that if they are found guilty, and then if they do appeal it and they're still found guilty, I think at that point you have got to say they deserve every bit of the book thrown at them. Because if they accepted the charges and didn't appeal it, you think, okay, maybe finally they've given a reason for the Premier League, not to show some leniency, but to at least say, alright, they're not costing everybody a load more dough. But they won't. It'll be appealed. And we'll still be here in a year's time, wondering if we're ever going to see any justice in the league while they go about more transfer business and, you know, doing whatever it is that Manchester City want to do. And also, on that, and there's no lag, Smokey, that I'm aware of, mate. So whatever lag you might be getting might be at your end. I'm hardwired into the Ethernet cable, so there shouldn't be any lag. And if you're having any, it's probably at your end, because I'm not seeing any signs of it at my end. But anyway, I'll continue. But call that warning number 1, because I'm getting fed up of people trying to fucking wind me up. So let's move on a little bit to talk about, I guess, let's have a look at a youngster that Liverpool, no lag. There is no lag. I know there isn't any lag because I get warnings when there's a lag. And I'm wired into the Ethernet, so I'm not even on the Wi-Fi. I'm straight into the router. So the lag is his own issue. So Caught Offside have said that Liverpool are understood to be preparing to step up their pursuit of Motherwell wonder kid Lennon Miller, who is also attracting interest from Newcastle, Brighton and Southampton. I know absolutely nothing about this kid, but Scotty, one of our viewers and somebody who's a fan of the Scottish Premier League, said that this guy looks like the real deal. I've got no clue. So, you know, another young one for the future, but let's keep an eye on the situation and let's see if Liverpool do actually prepare that offer and look to bring him in. So, here's what we learned today as well from the press conference. Alisson Becker most likely going to start tomorrow against Girona. So a reminder also, folks, we are the 5:45 kickoff for that game tomorrow. Just remember that, it's the early kickoff. So it looks like Alisson will be in goal, according to Arne Slot. Diogo Jota isn't in the squad, but did take part in some training today. Unfortunately for Chiesa, he gets another bit of bad luck. He's now got an illness, which has ruled him out of it. Not an injury, you know, no strain or anything like that. Unfortunately for Chiesa, he has a bit of an illness, so that's going to rule him out. Elliott, we know, will be with the squad. Bradley, Canade, Costas, all still unavailable. So that is kind of where we're at. And also, there was Sorry, I'm getting distracted by a comment. My apologies. What was the other thing? Oh, Arna said expect a strong team, by the way. So we're probably going to see pretty close to what he would deem to be the best 11 available. So, yeah, let's wait and see. Jota start tomorrow. No, he won't be playing. He wasn't listed as being with the squad that travelled over. He was training, but he wasn't listed as being with the squad, which is a bit weird, I know. But no Jota starting tomorrow. And even if he was, you'd never start somebody that quickly after coming back from an injury. You've got to build up some minutes from the bench. So I would say Diogo might get 25 or 30, hopefully against Fulham at the weekend, and we'll go from there. But it is good that we're finally starting to see some of these injury headaches starting to clear up a little bit for Arne Slot, because it was getting a bit hairy there. You look, Arne spoke today in his presser about his options in the front line, and he's only really had 4. 4 players for 3 positions, not really much chance to rotate there. So, if we can start to get Chiesa and Jota back, that would certainly ease that concern for Arne. Chiesa is slightly moving into my fraud watch. Well, then you're full of fucking shit, Max. How about you move into the go watch another fucking channel? You can keep your snidey comments that are not based on any reality about our players to yourself. So I've put you into my fraud list, Max, and it's in the dusty bin, consoled to the past. I'm not having it anymore. I'm not having anybody just taking cheap shots at the players for no reason. So it was very clearly explained why Chiesa wasn't in the squad, and it was nothing to do with injury. It was nothing to do with being a fraud. It was to do with the fact that he was frozen out at Juventus, didn't have a pre-season, and it was clearly explained. But if you took the time to actually give a fuck about that, Max, you'd know. But it's much easier to just slag everybody off, isn't it, and be an arsehole. So, yeah. We don't need people like you. The fan base doesn't need people like you. I've had enough of it recently, whether it's people getting it on Kelleher or people just taking cheap shots. It's absolutely pathetic. And there's no place for it. Chiesa needs our support. And hopefully, this prolonged pre-season that he's had will give him the ability to play for the remainder of the campaign. And hopefully we look back at this in February, March, April, and we're thinking, wow, that's worked. I'm not saying it will, but this writing him off stuff is just pathetic. I don't know what else to say. Carl, how are you, bro? Said, do you think it's a little bit harsh that Creveen won't be starting? I kind of do, but I kind of understand Arne's stance as well. I guess recency bias for us all, Carl, is it's easy, right? And, I'm as guilty of this as anybody, mate. And you see how well Kelleher did, and it does feel a little bit harsh. But ultimately, he is the best keeper in the world. He is the club's number 1. And Arne has been very clear and consistent on it. So, as much as, maybe we all have our own little differences, but I do think he's been very clear about it since Alisson started the road back to fitness. He said as soon as he's back, he's a number 1. So, obviously as an Irish man, Carl, I'm a little bit sad for Creveen, but ultimately, good headache for the manager to have, mate. Don't give up on Darwin. So, I kind of have, but as I said, I'm not going to be toxic about it. I'm not going to be calling him out or anything. It's going to take a lot to win me back around with Darwin now after 2 and a bit years of up and down. I'm not going to go in on that. I still want them to do well, but at this point now, I'm not really expecting it as much as perhaps I was a few weeks or even a couple of months ago. I think we will see a time where Darwin leaves the club in the summer, most likely, and it is what it is. Sometimes these transfers just don't work out. You can clearly see he's trying. No question about his attitude or anything like that. He's working very hard when he's on the pitch. I'm sure working equally as hard in training. So, sometimes things just don't work out, and it is what it is. I love Darwin as well, man. I do. I absolutely do. He's a maverick. I love a maverick. But it hasn't done what we'd hoped. And there is, time still there for him to turn it around. And if he does, happy days. But I'm feeling a little bit less optimistic, to be honest with you, about it. But we'll wait and see. Mohamed said, I wish Arna would give Endo more minutes. So, to be fair on this one, Mohamed, again, I want to just speak about the manager's honesty in all of this. Much like with Alisson Becker, we mightn't necessarily have agreed that Ali comes straight back in. Some people will, some people won't. But with Toro Endo, it was made very clear to him that he would see limited playing time because the manager doesn't feel like, not that he isn't a good player. He's a very good player. He's an absolute honest pro, model professional. But he just doesn't suit the way Arna wants the position to be played, unfortunately. So you would think that maybe an exit for him in the coming months would be likely. But again, I want to reiterate, model pro, looks like a great lad to have around the club, and was just very unfortunate with the change of manager coming to one that doesn't really think his attributes suits the way he wants to play. But again, I wouldn't be knocking with Toro in any ways. He's a top lad. Best memories of Darwin against Newcastle last year, won't forget that. Oh, you're right not to. That was incredible. That was that was a real bonus for us last season because we deserved to take nothing from that game. But Darwin came on and had 2 moments of absolute genius, and we left there somehow with the 3 points. Is there any truth to Kvaratskhelia coming to Liverpool? No, there isn't, mate. No. What do I think the score will be tomorrow? It's a good question. I think where I'm at with my preview, about 3-1. I think I take that. But if we keep a clean sheet tomorrow, Arne Slot has set a new record for the most consecutive clean sheets kept, I think, in the European competition. So, yeah, you have one eye on keeping the clean sheet. But, look, I just want us to win tomorrow and, cement our place in the top 8. And then, we'll see what Arne wants to do for the last couple of group stage games. Obviously, I'm feeling a little bit hard done by here because I'm supposed to be going over to the Lille game. Well, I am going over to the Lille game, and that looks like it might be almost a dead rubber at this point, unfortunately. Arthur Smith, thank you so much, mate, for your super chat. Said, would you rather win the Champions League and the Premier League but lose VVD, Mo and Trent, or keep the 3 and win 2 domestic cups only? I'll take the trophies, the Champions League and the Premier League, please. In that mad warped scenario you've come up with, I would take the trophies because they're guaranteed. And as much as having the lads around will probably deliver more trophies, a double of a Champions League and a Prem in 1 year in Arna's first year, ooh, that would be dream stuff, wouldn't it? That has to be one of the most difficult ones I've been asked, though, Arthur. You did well there, mate, with that question. I don't usually like the hypotheticals, but I think I'd have to take the burden that the 1 in a hand is worth 2 in the bush kind of scenario. Morad said, Craig, I've got my semester and exams and I should be studying tomorrow but can't help but watch the mighty Reds. It's what your examiners would want, Morad, mate. It's what they'd want. No, seriously, mate, I wish you all the best with your exams. Morad, that's a name. I had a friend growing up called Morad, and I haven't heard the name in such a long time. So, yeah, welcome in, mate. You've probably been in a good while as well, but either way, good luck with the exams, and yeah, you got to watch the Reds, man. You got to do it. They won't score. Come on, we have the best defence and goalkeeper. We'll be happy if they score 1 goal. Mate, look, if we win tomorrow, I don't mind if it's 2-1, 5-1, 5-0, 2-0. A win is a win is a win. And then we look ahead to Fulham coming to Anfield on Saturday for the 3 p.m. kickoff. Did you see that Lee Trundle got an honorary degree at Swansea Uni? Nice. That's class. Fair play. Right, so there was some stuff from Melissa ready today around the contracts, and I wanted to get your take on what Melissa had to say about Trent Alexander-Arnold. So I'm going to read it out to you in a second. Before I do, just a reminder, throughout the entire month of December, we're trying to help raise funds for Joe to get that wheelchair basketball chair. Joe suffers with cerebral palsy. Joe's also a youth worker helping kids between the ages of, I think, 14 and 25 to fulfill their potential, to guide them in the right way, and to show them that sport is a great way to enrich their lives. Joe currently uses a chair borrowed from the Wheelchair Basketball Club that he's been a member of for years, and we'd love to try and help Joe achieve his goal of raising that £5,500 sterling to buy that wheelchair basketball chair. If you would like to donate instead of maybe sending a super chat, you can do so with the Just Giving link that we have pinned to the top of the chat. And sending love to you, Joe, as always, my man. Right, let's get into what Melissa Reddy had to say about Trent Alexander-Arnold. She said Real Madrid remains hugely interested in Trent Alexander-Arnold, and recent comments about winning the Ballon d'Or are very much singing off the Madrid hymn sheet. He's possibly the one who would take the most elbow grease in getting over the line. Thoughts on that? You know, there's been a lot of stuff to try and figure out over the last couple of days, and what I've tried to get my head to is a place where I figure out if Trent wants to stay or Trent wants to weigh up his options. I think I'm at a point where Trent's preference is to stay, but you know, we were always taught that the most difficult one was probably going to be Mohamed Salah. You know, from speaking with David Lynch and other people, we always thought that would probably be the most difficult one for Liverpool to get over the line. But it feels like this one is the most difficult according to the feeling currently doing the rounds from the journalists. You know, it's very clear that Virgil and Mo definitely want to stay, and compromise may have to be reached there. So yeah, let us know your thoughts on the Trent situation. So, West Ham, who scored the goals, by the way, just out of curiosity. Let us know who scored them goals. Oh, offside, people are saying. So it's still 1-0, is that right? There's another report that Madrid want Dalot and think they can get him for 45 million. Yeah, Guillermo, we spoke about that on the channel a couple of times, mate. There's been a few reports. One saying that they wanted Pedro Porro of Spurs, and the other one, like you said they were looking at Diogo Dalot of Manchester United. And the figure that you've mentioned is kind of in and around the number that I'd seen mentioned as well. And I do wonder if they're starting to give up a little bit on Trent. Or certainly feel like Trent isn't running with open arms to join them anyway. So who scored the initial West Ham goal? Was that Souček as well? Melissa did say something actually just to see what Gino said there. Gino said, I think all the signings will come over that Xmas period. Melissa mentioned something about a recreation perhaps of Virgil van Dijk's famous Christmas tree, initially holding up the Liverpool shirt that he was a Liverpool player. So, you know, maybe she knows something we don't on that one. Again, madness, you can do one as well, mate. I'm not putting up with arseholes today, just coming in to cause trouble. You know, Mane left because he wasn't getting the ball off Salah, was your thought. No, he left because he wanted more dough. That's why he left. And he got that more dough at Bayern Munich. And he was also, remember, we were all told as Liverpool fans that he was going to a club that he was going to be loved and worshipped until he was ran out the door a year later. So, again, don't want to know about it. Don't want to hear your stupid arse opinions. Mane was his own worst enemy. He decided he was leaving. Nobody forced him out the door. And I'm not going to have you coming and belittling other players just because you want to piss them on once again. He wanted more dough. He got more dough. But he didn't get the love that he was getting at Anfield, did he? And now he's over in Saudi where nobody gives a fuck. So, are you some of you guys genuinely Liverpool fans? It baffles me at times seeing some of the crap you come out with towards your own players. You know, it's not like they're not playing well here and we're calling somebody out. That's just bollocks. Why do you want to run your own club down constantly? We've got enough people on the outside trying to do that. Jason, how are you, mate? Craig, did you see the clip of our under-21's goalkeeper in training against the first team? Absolutely some unreal saves made. I haven't, Jason. No, one sec, mate. Sorry. Excuse me, Jason. I haven't seen that clip, mate, no. But, you know, it wouldn't surprise me because we are a bit of a destination for goalkeeping talent. And I've no doubt we've got some good goalkeepers on the conveyor belt coming up as well. So, yeah, I'll try to get a view of that later on. So, want to say thank you, by the way. A couple of people answered my call. I'd asked some of our American viewers if any of them were able to sort me out with some pretzel M&Ms, and two guys came through for me who were going to be... One of them's coming home to Ireland for Christmas and is going to sort me out with some, so get in. Thank you, everybody, on that one. That made me smile yesterday. Really appreciate your help. Do you think Chelsea are more danger than Man City and Arsenal? No, I don't. I think they deservedly are where they are, and I'm not trying to run down Chelsea's season so far. But I do think they're still short in a couple of areas. As David Lynch said, and I give him credit for this, their underlying numbers with regards to goals that they are conceding and potentially conceding, they're a little bit more open. So I think the general consensus is it would be a big surprise if they can maintain that standard throughout the entire campaign. But right now, give Maresca his credit. He's come in there, done a very good job to have them where they are, and they deservedly are where they are now. So, on that actually, and on league positions, the old supercomputer's been at it again. So, Liverpool are no doubt in an incredible position in the title race, but according to whose supercomputer is this? Betting expert supercomputer called Betsy, apparently. Liverpool are going to come out on top in the Premier League, but the points total actually really shocked me. And I still don't think this can be correct. Let me know how this reads to you, right? So it said, despite the Reds have been back to win the Premier League, according to betting expert supercomputer Betsy, Liverpool are going to come out on top with 82 points. 82. I can't remember the last time a Premier League was won with 82 points in the whole recent era. They go on to say that according to the supercomputer, we will be 6 points clear of Arsenal, who they believe will come at 76 points. Chelsea in third place with 74 points. And Manchester City with 73 points. Does that not seem like a very low points tally to everybody else? 82. So that was, what did we get last season? 82? 83? Yeah, that feels low to me when I'd seen the points tallies. That's what we finished with last season. Yeah, that's what I mean. It just seems like a bit of a low number to me. I would have thought that points tally would have been 87, 88, 89, something around that mark. And look, as somebody else said, don't care. Monkstown Glass, I agree with you, bro. I don't care what it is as long as we win the trophy. I'm with you on that one, mate. But it just surprised me. I thought it would be a little bit higher. Who do you most want to get a contract? VVD, Mo or Trent? All of them, and I genuinely mean that. I think Virgil and Mo are probably, in the shorter term, the most important. But Trent has a big impact as well. As you've seen when he came off the bench against Newcastle, we looked transformed when Trent came on the pitch. So, all three, I know that's a cop-out answer, but they really are important players. But if I had to pick, I'd say Virgil and Mo are, in the shorter term, more important to where we currently are and what we're going to try and challenge for. Gumi said 81 points in 2015-16 was the last time it was that low. Yeah, it feels very, very low. 82 points to go and win a league. But there's been a couple of fixture updates as well, by the way, for anybody who's travelling to games or is thinking of travelling. So we have two confirmed fixture changes. The first one is Liverpool at Anfield against against Wolves, my apologies. That is now going to be on Sunday the 16th of February with a 2 p.m. kickoff at Anfield. So Liverpool Wolves, Sunday 16th of February, 2 p.m. kickoff. And Liverpool's trip to the Etihad is Sunday the 23rd of February. No kickoff time confirmed yet. I'm sure that the police will move it forward half an hour or something like that, like they've done previously. But again, to confirm, Sunday 16th of February, Liverpool Wolves at Anfield, 2 p.m. kickoff. Sunday 23rd of February, Manchester City versus Liverpool at the Etihad, and that's still to be confirmed as a kickoff time. Haven't missed your super chat, Mohamed. I'm busy reading out stuff, mate. And like I told you the other day, I will get there. If I'm in the middle of a segment, I have to finish what I'm doing. I can't just drop everything to grab the super chat the second it comes in. So appreciate you, but I will get there. Just give me a second, please. Right, here's your super chat, Mohamed. Said, did Suarez want to leave Liverpool or did Liverpool want to sell him? Still feel sad about him leaving. I think a little bit of both in the end. He certainly tried to find a way out of moving to Arsenal at that point, if you remember the 40 million plus one. But I think in the end, after he went and bit the Italian player and that, it kind of just had to be done for everybody. So I think it was a bit of both. Neverland. So many trolls out. Hate it. Trent stay percentage. I really don't know, mate. Honestly, I don't want to give anybody false hope or false worries. I truly just don't know with Trent. Yeah, sorry, man. I don't know. I really, this is the one I've been really honest about all the way through to say I've got absolutely no reading of this situation. Like, I just don't have a clue with Trent. Oh, Matt Doherty making it 1-1. Wow. Wolves, because when I watched that first half, Wolves were barely in that game. It was all West Ham. That's nuts. Right, so Moby Hake was posting earlier on, responding to Mike Keegan's reports on Manchester City's 115 charges. So these are a couple of the things that I've taken away from it. 115 charges is now upgraded to 130 charges. 3-man panel verdict in the next few months. If both sides don't come to an agreement and do appeal the final verdicts, it could stretch to the end of the 25-26 season, which is farcical. Oh, 2-1 now West Ham. Bowen. Do you know what I mean? It's lots going on there. Lots going on. Right. So there was another exclusive. Mike Keegan's been on it today. There's another exclusive from Mike Keegan, and I wanted to get your thoughts on this. He said, exclusive, Manchester City and Chelsea told that they are in line for a £60 million windfall from the Club World Cup. The DAZN TV deal sends fees skyrocketing, and he goes on to say Premier League rivals may not react well. Thoughts? Because I'm not going to lie, I don't want Liverpool near that tournament this summer. The idea of it breaking up the start of, or the end of one season, start of another season seems madness. But 60 million quid, I mean, that'll pay for a lot of lawyers in Man City's perspective, and it will, I guess, give them a chance for Chelsea to maybe buy the hotel back off themselves with that 60 million quid. That's a lot of money for one little tournament. Champions League winners only get about 100 or something like that. So 60 million for just competing in the Club World Cup. Wow. I'm sure the Manchester City solicitors are rubbing their hands together as we speak. Who would win right now, Arsenal or Liverpool? I mean, I don't even want me to go with that. We just played a few weeks ago and it was a draw at the Etihad. So the more pertinent question is, who's ahead of who right now? And the answer is that we're ahead of everybody. So that's all I need to know, my friend, is that Liverpool are top of the pile. David Newell said, what do you make of the Reece James injury yet again? I think he's going to be one of those players that retire early. Look, it's not for me to say what Reece James does with his career, but I've heard many Chelsea fans and people much closer to the club than I'd ever be kind of thinking on the same lines. It must be devastating for him, because there's no doubt Reece James is an extremely talented player, and he's had a nightmare run with injuries. So it's his decision, it's his career. But it hasn't been great for him, has it? He just can't seem to get a run of games. If we're in the Club World Cup next season, we need to significantly strengthen. Yeah, that won't be happening though, because it's played every 4 years. So, the next Club World Cup will be 4 years from this summer. So we don't have to worry about it just at this moment in time. Do you think the Newcastle draw was a good result? I wouldn't call it a good result, no. I wouldn't call it the end of the world. I mean, context is really important. So before the game, if you said to me it was going to be a draw, I wouldn't have been too heartbroken. I would have thought I'd rather we win it. But after the run of games we'd been on and how demanding that was, the injuries we'd started to pick up, the fact that it's a difficult place to go and play, St. James's Park. I think, though, when you're 3-2 ahead with a few minutes to go and we make a mistake and it leads to an equaliser, you may look back on it a little bit differently. But look, in the grand scheme of things over the course of a season, I don't think it's going to be a pivotal result for us. Arsenal lost there as an example. So I think it's about how we react to that is the most important thing. Martin, let me just grab your comment, sir. Could there be a case for replacing both forwards? So I'm assuming, mate, that you mean Jota and Darwin in this scenario. It'd be unlikely, because I'm still trying to figure out exactly how maybe we move one on. But surely something has to give in the summer around the forward situation, and certainly feels like we're far more likely to see it being a Darwin move. Again, speaking with David Lynch today, and I hope you guys had a chance to watch the video. Again, Marmoush's name comes up again as somebody who Liverpool are certainly keeping tabs on, but I can't see us making two changes in the front line in one window. But you never know, it is football. But thank you, Martin, by the way. Member with us for 12 months, bro. Really do appreciate that. Mohamed, and again, thank you, Mohamed, for your super chat, for your continued patronage of the channel, mate, and for your input. Mohamed said, how is it that Man United always seem to have money to buy players or sack managers, yet we hear that we're in so much debt? Well, to be fair, Mohamed, we don't really hear that we're in a lot of debt. We do cry poor mouth a lot. You're right on that, bro. But, debt in football isn't necessarily a dirty word. It's how the debt is structured a lot of the time. And with Manchester United, they've been a cash-generating machine for a very long time. A lot of that money is going on interest repayments and stuff from the leverage buyout, the way the Glazers took ownership of the club. And you're right, they have pissed and moaned and wasted a lot of money. And it does kind of make you wonder why we are crying poor mouth a lot of the time, because I don't really believe it, to be honest, mate, that we are stuck for a few bob. I think it's a conscious decision from the owners not to spend it, but I guess I'm just glad that we're not sitting here being that angry about money being wasted, because I can sympathise to some extent with United fans feeling there's been nothing but money wasted over and over and over again. They gave Ten Hag an extended deal, then fired him. They brought in Dan Ashworth, paid the compensation, waited a long time. Didn't even last, 5-6 months? He's gone. I'm personally enjoying the shenanigans at United as a Liverpool fan, but you've raised a good point. It wouldn't be great if it was us. But also, our owners are cheap in my eyes, mate. Eddie, let me get your comment up, bro. Troy Sports, welcome to Anfield Agenda FC, my friend. Thank you for becoming a member. So Eddie Cox Wilkins, member for 16 months, said, if I had my choice, I would sell Diogo. I think both of them you could make a valid argument for, Eddie. I read it wrong, did I? Sorry. What did I read wrong? Again, what did I read wrong? You're going to have to give me more than that, than you read it wrong. I need more information than that. So, anyway, sorry, Eddie. To get back to your comment, I think you'll make an argument about maybe selling either of them, for different reasons. One, because he just hasn't performed well enough, particularly in front of the goal, and the other, unfortunately, probably because of the injury problem, and a lack of availability isn't much help. But yeah, I totally can get where you're coming from. I don't really have any pushback right on you, mate. How much do you think we would get for Jota and Darwin? Do you know what? 40 for Jota? No idea on Darwin. I wouldn't have a clue where to even start with Darwin. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like whatever deal you end up getting for Darwin, there's going to be a lot of potential add-ons to go onto the deal. So I think we'll probably see a lower initial upfront payment with the potential for it to get higher if he, I don't know, succeeds or scores more goals or wins trophies wherever he may go. So, that's what I would expect on a Darwin one. Jota, I think maybe about 40, something like that. Keith Dunn said, I wouldn't sell Jota. He's a great goal scorer and a better finisher than Núñez. Oh, again, I'm only answering a question. So, I do think one of them moves on. I think you're right, though. The far most likely is probably Darwin Núñez because, if, let's say, Diogo comes back and manages to stay fit between now and the end of the campaign, you'd say then, okay, that's a good long run. But do we think he will? Probably not. But I can't disagree on him being a great player because he is. He's a very intelligent player. He's a good natural goal scorer. But unfortunately, he's just had some issues. Whether they've been unlucky or not, they still meant he's been out. Read his comment. He was talking about Man U. So again, mate, I don't know whose comment you're talking about. I need more information than that. So, again, I've no idea what you're talking about because you still didn't give me the information. You just said he. Who's he? They both seem to have high potential but bad fortune, said Jeremy. Jota will prove to be pivotal this season for me. I think he'll stay fit and give a big headache for new signings, said Till Sheen. So if he's talking about Mohamed's two super chats, one was asking about Luis Suarez, and the other was, how is it Man United always seem to have money to buy players or sack managers, yet we hear they are in so much debt. Yes, now I get you. Sorry. So, yeah, I did read that out incorrectly. Thank you for pulling me up on it. So, Mohamed, I'll go back and revisit your question, mate. 1 second. There we go. So, they are in a lot of debt, mate. But they are able to service that debt. And they have the ability, I guess, to take on more debt or bring in more money. I don't really understand modern football finance as much as I should. But, the rules were changed because of the leverage buyout and the way the Glazers came in and bought United. And they're basically, from the last I heard, it might have changed, spending 50 or 60 million quid, something like that, a year on interest repayments alone. Something crazy like that. So yeah, look, I'm glad it isn't our club, but, football clubs will always find a way of getting money. Look at Barcelona, selling off some of their future rights and some of their Barcelona studios and other stuff like that. There's always going to be a way out there for a football club, particularly one the size of Manchester United, to get access to cash. It's always so funny how the Evian bottles go translucent. It's Volvic. It's Volvic, mate. It's not Evian. Right, so more topics to go through because there's a lot of stuff coming out today. 1 second. Where are we? No, 1 sec. There we go. No, not that one. So David Ornstein has said there's a growing belief around Anfield that both Virgil van Dijk and Mohamed Salah will stay beyond this season. which is class. It does feel good that there is that growing belief around the club that both are going to extend, because let's be honest, they want to be here, we want them to be here, and hopefully we get the situation sorted out, and soon. Escapado said Zubi might be injured. I really don't think we're going to see him move in January to Liverpool or elsewhere. It always felt like a bit of a fanciful idea rather than one based in fact. Anything that I've read on Zubimendi potentially moving, it's always kind of indicated next summer at this point. I do think he went off 50-55 minutes last night in Sociedad's game, if I'm not mistaken. David Coote sealed his own fate. That should teach him a lesson. Again, no qualms about him being sacked. It was absolutely the right call. But he is sacked now. So, whatever has to happen in his personal life, I don't wish him any harm. If he has any issues around substance abuse or anything like that, I sincerely hope he's able to sort it out. And I've no doubt the PGMOL will support him in that regard. David, let me get your comment up. Said, keep Jota for sure. When he starts, he's class. The only big problem is he's injury prone, as we know, but a fantastic player. I love Darwin, but he's so frustrating, which is disappointing. Imagine Darwin had the finishing ability of Diogo. You're probably talking about a 150, 200 million pound player then. And that is really frustrating with some players, isn't it? Like they've 8 things out of 10 that would make them an absolute superstar, but lacking those 1 or 2 others. And with Diogo, you would say if he had maybe Darwin's robustness, maybe then he'd probably be a more influential player for us. So yeah, this is frustrating as a fan sometimes on these things. Gino Houlden said, we've got the pulling power at the minute. Cheap John just needs to make it happen. Yeah, so I asked David today, is he expecting much in January? And again, it all seems to be all up in the air once again. I don't know what to expect going into this January transfer window. I do feel like we will get some good news on some contract announcements before then, but still need to address that midfield situation in January, I think, to give ourselves the best chance of lifting some big silverware this season. VAR's going to get O'Neill sacked. Wolves should have had at least 1 pen. West Ham defender stood in Wolves player's foot. Wow. Oh, while we're speaking about VAR and refereeing decisions, what's the point of Ref Watch? Did you see it today? So, the 2 decisions in the game between Chelsea and Spurs that Dermot Gallagher was asked about, both of them, he just basically backed up the referees. Now, whatever about the Caicedo one, I actually do agree with that personally. I don't think that should have been a red card. But to say that there wasn't enough force in the elbow from Kulusevski into the head of the Chelsea player, Lavia I think it was, and you see the little cut on the side of Romeo Lavia's head, I thought Stephen Warnock raised a very good point, and Sue Smith as well, that the force was there from the running. You don't need to pull your elbow back if it's out like this and you're running at somebody at pace. And you could clearly see it. He caught Lavia, cut him, well actually I think it's this side of his head, and you've seen the images afterwards. And yet we have this job's worth telling us that the referee and the VAR were right, that there wasn't enough force in it. The mental gymnastics that this man does every single week just to back up referees is pathetic. I don't see the point of the segment at all. Because all it is every week is Sue Smith and Stephen Warnock disagreeing with the referee, because Sue Smith and Stephen Warnock are usually based in some kind of sensible discussion. So I usually find myself on the side of Sue Smith and Stephen Warnock. And then Dermot Gallagher's just basically talking shite and going through this mental gymnastical routine in his head about why the ref was right. It's bollocks. The whole lot of it is absolute nonsense. Well, I just don't get what the point of it is. Let's bring on Dermot to tell us all why we shouldn't be angry at the referees. That's basically what they should be saying. Keith said, I thought that he should have been sent off. I don't know which one in particular, Keith, mate, you're talking about. For me, the Caicedo one, I don't think was a red. Same way I didn't think Curtis Jones was a red. Same way I didn't think, was it Marcus Rashford in the Champions League for United? I didn't think that was a red. Nowhere near enough force or intent in that for me. So that one I've no issues with. But the one for Kulusevski, where he clearly runs into him, elbow in the most unnatural position you're ever going to see, because nobody runs with their elbows up like this, right out by their side towards a player, unless you're planning on doing something with that elbow. So I thought that was bullshit. Right, couple of super chats to get through. Neville said, or Nevlin, excuse me. I'm Neville on the brain, Nevlin, sorry. He said, Carragher versus Salah beef. Why is the media Palmer loving? So look, I've no issues with anybody giving a bit of praise to Cole Palmer, don't get me wrong. Cole Palmer's a great footballer and doing really well. And I also have no problem with Jamie Carragher having an opinion on Mohamed Salah and the contract situation. But I felt like it went from an opinion stepping into more of an agenda. Because he didn't just say it once, have a say and let it go. He said it, then he said it again on another show a week or so later. Then he's jumping onto social media, calling out Liverpool fan accounts when he hasn't got the bollocks to call out his own employers for saying the exact same thing in the exact same way about the Cole Palmer situation. And I don't understand why he's so angry. I don't understand it. He's got everything all of us would ever want. A huge platform, a great paid job. You know, he's had a great career as a player. He's a great career as a pundit. And he just wants to argue with everybody because they disagree with him. And look, I argue with everybody all the time, but no one's paying me millions. If you want to pay me millions, I'll shut the fuck up. You know, if somebody wants to throw a load of dough at me and tell me I can't give out to my paymasters, you know, fair enough. But the hypocrisy of it is astounding. So I don't know what his beef is with Salah. But, you know, I've been a bit disappointed in Carragher over the last while, to be honest. Yeah. So Rusba said, is it the positive news from Sky about Mo and VVD legit, or is it the club trying to give us a sense of false optimism? So, I believe it's legit. Now, I'm not labelling this at Sky, by the way, Rusba. I think there is a growing feeling that those two are going in the right direction. Now, I'm not going to say they're done, because I don't know that they're done. I don't at all. I think the Virgil one, I think that's, if not done, very, very likely to get done soon enough. The Mo one, do you know what? I'm just pleasantly surprised on this one because I feared the worst a while back, but the more that I've kind of gotten to understand how much Mo wants to stay, and you know, the more we've heard about his family and his kids being settled and, you know, enjoying their schooling and stuff, you'd hope that a compromise could be found there. And if you add in his form this season, the numbers he's putting up, I think it kind of got to a point where there was no way the club couldn't get a renewal with Mo. So, yeah, I think we've genuine reason to be optimistic on those two. On those two. I don't think it's anybody trying to pull our legs. Right, I have another super chat which I will get to in a second, mate. Let me just read through some of the comments. Hoarder said, Carragher is mad. Craig, I hate Carragher. I prefer Ronaldo over him, said Neville and Moody. Minoda said, Carragher is a toffee, don't forget. So, look, I always try to be honest and give you my real opinion on everything. And I would be a liar if I sat here and said I didn't think Carragher was a great pundit. But I do think that maybe him and Neville, and I don't know their work schedules because I don't know their lives, but it feels like they're trying to be all things to everybody. They're trying to be professional pundits on Sky. They're trying to be jovial and kind of doing watch-alongs. Then they're doing podcasts and other stuff, dipping their toe in fan content. It all feels a little bit convoluted to me. And I think it just waters down everything else. So what I would say to him, if I could, not that I could give him advice, I mean, geez, who the fuck am I? But stick to what, what got you that respect as a pundit, which is the great stuff on Monday Night Football, which is the breaking down and analysing games and giving us mere mortals an insight. Because I think him and Neville are brilliant at that. But right now, I just feel like we're being drowned in Neville and Carragher. Everywhere we turn, they're there. Watch-alongs, stuff that's clearly being said just to rile people up. I don't like some of the gaslighting. So that I feel a little bit disappointed in as somebody who was, very, very much a huge fan of Carragher in his playing days. I don't have any want or desire to go in on him, but, I don't think the people who've called him out are wrong. I think that they've raised valid points, and I think he probably understands that as well, which is why it's getting to him a little bit and why he's snapping back. Right. So I did promise I'd get back to this gent super chat, and thank you very much, sir. Lux Rips said, opinions on refs having to answer to the media instead of never having to explain their calls. Should they get their own press time? No, I don't think they should. I do think they should be transparent, and we should hear all the audio. The commentators of the games get the audio from the VAR hub. I think referees and the fans should hear all of that. Transparency is clear. But I don't think they should be questioned after games by the media. No, I don't. Because I think that's just setting them up for more hate towards them. But transparency of explaining decisions, how they got to the thought process, and certainly there should be, some more pushback on the likes of Mic'd Up, those type of shows. What's the point in bringing them on if Mike alone doesn't turn around to Howard Webb and say, right, the audio from Alexis Mac Allister being challenged by Jeremy Doku, we see the VAR come in and say both go in high, but they didn't. So stuff like that I'd like a bit more pushback on, to go, he's talking out his arse there, Howard. They didn't both go in high. Doku went in high to Mac Allister's chest. So that's the type of stuff that riles me up. But no, I don't think personally that refs should be wheeled out in front of the media. Just my own take on it though. Corbin said, what's all the news about City's charges being extended to 130? I thought we already knew this. What's the title about it dragging on another year? So yes, we did kind of know it, you're right, but it was documented today, and I guess that came out in the summary of their charges, the hearing which ended now. So, and it dragging on another year is basically the belief that whatever the decision is, whether it's against City or for City, we're going to see an appeal from either side, and that appeal will likely drag out until the end of the 25-26 season, as reported by the media today, which is an absolute farce, mate. It's a farce that it's dragging on this long. Because yet again, everybody's kind of just waiting around to see if we'll ever get any type of justice in a case, but another season will go by, more trophies no doubt going to be lifted, and yeah, let's wait and see where it ends up. David said, if we look down Mo and VVD, do you think Trent's contract will be let go to save money? Probably a ridiculous question, but with these owners, you never know. So if we lock down Mo and VVD, do you think Trent's contract? No, but I think Trent might use it to leverage a higher wage, because they've played a few of their cards, Mo and Virgil, so they've told the club and the fans they want to stay. Yeah, they also have to look around and go, well, where else are they going to go, really? Well, they'll get the adulation. So they kind of have, I wouldn't say limited opportunities, but certainly the leverage was way more with Trent in this scenario, because he's got the whole local boy thing coming into his prime, Real Madrid after him. I think he's the one that will be able to leverage the whole situation to his favour a lot more. How it works out, again, your guess is as good as mine, but certainly I think if I was to be negotiating from any of their positions, I'd want to be in Trent's, because you're going to get a big payday. Let me just bring this one up. And by the way, I love feedback like this, mate, so thank you very much. Is it Macy Pappy? Excuse me if I've mispronounced the name. Said, have you ever considered rounding the viewers' average players to the nearest half point? This way, your score and the viewers' scores would be more aligned. Certainly, always open to feedback like that, bro, and we can certainly look at that if you think that would make for a better all-round product. I'm sure Connor would have no issues rounding up those average scores. So yeah, I will certainly take it on board and appreciate you making the suggestion. Thank you. Any decent players at Wolves we can get cheap in Jan? Oitnuri, perhaps? Paul, how are you, Paul? Paul Meany said, hi Craig, new member. What's going on with Chiesa? And do you think Ali starts at Kelleher's expense? So, second part of the question first. Yep, it looks like he's going to start tomorrow, as per Arne Slot in his press conference today. And Chiesa's ill, unfortunately. He probably would have been in contention to be in the squad for this one, but I think he's just got a bug or an illness that has ruled him out. I do expect him to be in the matchday squad, though, for the game against Fulham on Saturday. It's really annoying, though, isn't it? Because I was kind of getting pumped at the idea of maybe a couple of minutes from Chiesa. But look, at least it's not a setback injury-wise or anything like that. It is just an illness, unfortunately. And also, by the way, thank you, mate. Welcome in. Great to have you. You said you're a new member. Really do appreciate you joining the family. Well done. Would anyone like to do a straight swap between Núñez and Isak? Would you do that if you were Newcastle? Genuine question. Like, if I rang you now and I'm the Liverpool sporting director and I'm like, ring, 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 Mr. MCW, just wondering, would you fancy letting go of Isak and we'll give you Darwin on a straight swap? Hello? You know, I mean, be wishful thinking, right, from our side, but no, I can't see that happening. Would I do it? Yes. But I would have concerns. Not about Isak's talent or quality, but about his injury record. Isak could leave because of FFP. Yes, look, that's a different conversation. I'm not saying Isak's impossible to get out of Newcastle. I'm just saying I can't see them rushing to be bringing in Darwin. But they did try and get Darwin before, actually. Before he came to Liverpool, he was a player on Newcastle's wish list. Right, let me just check in through another few bits. So we spoke about this youngster that Liverpool are keeping tabs on from Motherwell. So this from Caught Offside said, Liverpool are understood to be preparing to step up their pursuit of Motherwell wonder kid Lennon Miller, who is also attracting interest from Newcastle, Brighton and Southampton. MCW said, nice one Craig, Núñez drove me mad during the Newcastle game. Totally get it, mate. I totally get it. It's the frustration comes because we know what he's capable of. You know, it's not like we're seeing a player who just hasn't scored much, or we've seen him do these amazing things before, and we know that he has it in him, but we're just not seeing it on a regular enough basis. And I guess that just adds to everybody's frustration. Barry said, I would not lambast Kelleher after the mistake, the way he's played. It was given away of the free kick in the first place. Oh, look, it's a lonely world as a keeper when you make a mistake, because more often than not, it ends up in a goal. And unlike, I guess, a forward, if he misses a chance, another one may come along soon. But as Arne said, Quiveen stopped that game from going 2-0 Newcastle by making a one-on-one save. Even if you go back to the Champions League game, I spoke earlier on about the fact that Arne could potentially set a new record if Liverpool keep another clean sheet tomorrow. Well, that record's only potentially there because Kelleher saved Mbappe's penalty as well. So he's done more than enough good stuff that's why I got so angry at so many people in the chat who were going in on him for the mistake. Because I'm not denying it was a mistake. It was a huge mistake. But he's more than enough credit in the bank with me to allow that type of stuff to happen, and just to, I guess the context of it was tough as well. It went from us being in a winning position to a draw. So, unfortunately for him, that's modern football. But I agree with you. I think he's more than enough credit in the bank. One second. Mark, how are you, my friend? Lovely to see you win again. Mark Hindhall said, guess who? FSG should ban Carragher from Anfield. Let's see how he likes that. What? They wouldn't do that, mate. No way. After all the good stuff he said about FSG. He's defo on the Christmas card list for John W. Henry, mate. Defo. What happens if Trent doesn't sign? Would you sell him in January? So it's easy for me to sit here and say I would. But there's no way Trent's going to do that. Or his agent's going to do that. And again, it looks like Madrid don't even want to do that because, unless I'm mistaken, there's been a lot of stuff out there to say that Madrid only want him on a free. Which, considering their dire need for a right back, if I'm Trent, that would make me even more uncertain about how much they really want you. So, you know, for me, if he decided he didn't want to stay and he was going, yeah. You know, if he's made the decision to leave, I would say, right, well, you know, get the club a few quid and off you pop. But I can't see it happening because he'd probably be forgoing a good chunk of money if he did that. Selling Trent on a free would hurt a lot. Oh, mate, I've said this to you guys from day one and been really honest about it. There's no sugarcoating this to the fan base if Trent leaves. Like, you can see an argument if they didn't renew Virgil or Mo. We wouldn't agree with it, but they always had the age card up their sleeve. With Trent, there is nothing other than the club took their eye off the ball and shit the bed to allow it to get to this point. And I would say that there is some nervous people at Liverpool around the Trent situation because how do you allow this to happen? Like, how on earth do you allow a local boy potentially walk out on a free at 26 as he's coming into his prime? Yeah, there's no excusing it from the club's perspective if Trent doesn't sign. So that's why I said earlier on, if I could be in any of their positions in the negotiation, it would be Trent because he kind of has them by the balls. Because if he does leave, well, how do you go about replacing him? Because yes, we have Bradley, but Bradley's not the fully developed player yet, and he certainly doesn't have many of the attributes Trent does. So yeah, it is one thing I don't think that there is any excusing or sweet talking of the fan base. It will end up with a lot of angry Liverpool fans, and rightly so. But it'd be nice to hear Trent say he wants to stay, said Dave. Dave, I've said this exact thing, bro, many times. Even speaking with David Lynch, I've said it again. Yes, that's all I'd like to hear. Is Trent coming to the mix zone after one of the games and going, so yeah, the club, we're still talking with the club, my preference is to stay. You know, why would I want to leave here? But I guess that probably also weakens his negotiating position. So I'm fine about it all being quiet as long as he stays. But if he doesn't stay, I think then you're going to see a very different reaction from the fan base. And I don't necessarily think that anger will be directed towards Trent as much as the club for allowing this position to materialise. Certainly, you know, I'm never going to be toxic towards Trent about it. For me, I just feel if he does decide he wants to leave, you know, be open, be honest with the fans and talk openly about it. You know, don't try and fool everybody for another 7 or 8 months or 6 months and drag it out a bit. If you've made that decision, be upfront to communicate it. And if he stays, brilliant. Then we don't, you know, we just make sure we don't end up in this position again. David said, been watching for a while, just became a member, looking forward to watching many streams and watch-alongs. Appreciate you, mate. Thank you so much. QF Red said, why moan so much about the owners? Because they're not very well liked by a lot of people, mate. Because they're cheap. And do you think we're wrong? whatever you think about maybe any other opinions I've had on FSG or whatever, do you think I'm wrong, or people in the chat are wrong, to be pissed off that a local boy who's a generational talent, who's probably worth 100 million quid, has been let get to a position where he can walk out the door and the club receive nothing? Do you think that's good ownership? Genuinely. Because if you don't see that as a reason why people are having a pop at the owners, I don't know what to say to you, mate. Because I didn't grow up supporting the owners. I grew up supporting the football club. And the people who deliver the success to the football club are the managers and the players. The owners are there to just sign the fucking checks. And unfortunately for us, and my perspective, these owners haven't been cutting enough checks. And these owners have cheaped out on a lot of things. That's my view on them. I try to be fair and balanced and give them the credit when they do stuff well. I credited everybody for the Arne Slot appointment, But you got to understand, there are a good group of Liverpool fans who feel that they're a bit too tight. And whilst you might say to me, but Craig, we've won stuff. I guess the question back from me would be, how much more might we have won with a bit more ambition? Rather than having one European club under Jurgen, could we have had two? Another league title? So they're not the worst owners in the world. Don't get me wrong. I don't think anybody claims that they are. But the one word that I try to use constantly is, I think they're cheap. And they lied to us about the Super League and stabbed us all in the back and told us that this was happening. Then they gave us their horseshit apology. So there's a lot of stuff that just makes me not trust them. Daryl said, Craig, love your show, mate. Proud of what you do. Keep it up. Thank you. Today I'm really under the weather, to be honest with you, mate. I'm at the tail end of a cold and a cough, and I'm just really exhausted. Best owners in Liverpool history. That's absolute horseshit, but you're entitled to your opinion. I would suggest that, we've had much more trophy-laden times, so I don't know in what metric you find them to be the best owners in Liverpool's history. That doesn't line up, other than being a baiting comment, which I don't believe you even believe. I think you're just trying to get a rise out of me, to be honest with you. Base of us said, the new Champions League format is pretty much a Super League. It is. Yep, it is. But that was voted for, right? And people were communicated with. We all just woke up one day to be told, hey, this thing that you've been doing for the last 60, 70 years, this European Cup that the club has built its success off and idolised the European Cups and adorned everywhere. That thing? Well, we don't care about that anymore, because there's more money in it for us if we stab you all in the back and run off to this closed shop. And we're not going to communicate with you over it. We're telling you it's happening. And it doesn't matter to us that it's two fingers up to you and everything about how you've consumed football and what you've fallen in love with. We want more money, so fuck you, we're doing this. That's basically what happened. Until they were shown very quickly that that's not how it works. David Smith said, Trent staying, no way does he want to be thought of like Owen McManaman. Again, I hope so. It's ultimately going to be up to Trent. Would I take De Jong at Liverpool? Not on the wages he's currently at. What's he? I think he's the highest paid player in La Liga. If not, he's very close. Would I take Frenkie de Jong as a footballer? Yes. He's a very good footballer. But what age is he now? He must be, 26, 27 now, De Jong? Something like that. Very good player, though. Roses or Quality Street? Roses, probably, Lorcan. Probably Roses. Do you prefer the old Champions League format? Much like the gaffer said today, mate, I don't know. Because I don't think we've seen enough of this new format unfold. It's very difficult as a Liverpool fan to not like the new format when we've played 5 games, won 5 games. It's very difficult not to be happy about that. So we'll wait and see. We'll wait and see how it pans out. So he's 27, De Jong. Yeah, that would probably push him. That'd probably push him a little bit out of what I think would be sensible for us. You know, you would imagine we'd be looking for somebody in the 21 to 25 kind of bracket. Marcus Gavern said, love your channel and attention to mental health. Lost my brothers to suicide 2 months ago and are always the highlight of my days. I'm coming to the Lille game. Marcus, mate, I'm really, really, really sorry to hear about you losing your brother, mate, to suicide. Too many, particularly young males here in Ireland. You know, the statistics around young male suicides or attempted suicides are just scary. And I could have been one of those statistics myself. My parents were. And I feel like I have a duty to speak about it, even if it does maybe make some people feel I'm bringing the streams down at times or whatever. Because I know if I don't look after my mental health, my life goes off the rails. So I'm sorry, so sorry to hear about your brother, mate. I'm glad you're in here with us, and I hope we continue to make you smile a little bit. Yeah, I'm sorry, mate. Arthur, let me get your comment up, bro. I'd love to loan De Jong for the second half and then Zubimendi for the summer. So I've got a big fear about Zubimendi in the summer that we'll end up seeing Alonso become Real manager and then make the move for Zubimendi, who would then want to follow his idol and go to Madrid, and then they'd probably look to sell Tchouaméni. That's my joining of the dots of that situation in my mind anyway. I just don't think we're going to get Zubimendi, in all honesty, and I hope I'm wrong, you know, but I don't know, I don't have a good vibe on it. Craig, I want Liverpool to sign Theo Hernandez. I would have to say too inconsistent for me. But again, I'm not going to sit here and say I can't understand why you'd like the guy. I can. Just wouldn't be one for me on a personal level. I think there's probably a few other options I'd rather. Is that how you lost your parents? Yeah. So, excuse me. Quick situation on that. So, without going into big long detail, Josh. So, my mum was raped by somebody close to her when she was younger, and we only found out about it after she'd attempted suicide. And I was sitting my exams in school and then around Christmas time, and came home one day and my mum had taken an overdose, and you know, I rang the ambulance, and unfortunately for us, she took paracetamol, which a lot of people think is you know, an over-the-counter drug, but it's one of the most dangerous drugs to overdose because it can affect your liver really badly, really quickly. So we had this waiting period of about 48 hours or so, and she went downhill really, really quickly. So we were given time to say goodbye to my mum before she was put into a medically induced coma, to help her body relax, but nobody thought she was waking up. And then, sorry, I get a bit emotional talking about this. And then there was going to be one last blood test before they started to switch off the machines. And I don't know why, but something happened in the hospital that night. They were busy or something happened, and the blood test had to be delayed. And it was delayed, and it showed a slight improvement. And then thankfully, as the days and weeks went on, she made a full recovery, but then the stuff about her being raped came out. And it just, of course, tore the family apart then. So she never really recovered from that. And then eventually, you know, after my dad died and he drank himself to death, after he died, my mum remarried, and there was a couple more suicide attempts. And then you get that dreaded phone call one day to say that, you know, she's no longer with us. So yeah, it was, I didn't think I'd come out of that, to be honest with you, because I mentioned a few times as well, I'm an only child, so if I didn't have my wife, Sabrina, at the time, there's no way I would have gotten through all of that. And it was all around this time of the year as well. Like my dad died on the 30th of December. My mum had that first suicide attempt. My uncle had an accident, unfortunately, and passed away around Christmas time. My grandmother died at Christmas time. it's been tough. It's been a really tough journey to get here. So this is why I keep saying to everybody, I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful for our community. I'm so grateful for the platform. And I know I say some stuff sometimes that rubs people up the wrong way, but I'm genuinely proud I'm still here. Yeah, and as I said, without my wife, I mean, I'm blessed to have that woman in my life. She's been the one constant I've had since I was what, 17, 18, as a friend first, and then as a partner, and now my wife. We're together 24 years now, and I just needed to show my kids that these setbacks, they don't define you, they don't end you. Keep going, keep chugging along, and you know what? I've had my son say, I've heard what Daddy went through when he was younger, and now look at him, and that really, there's no putting that into words. Like, that's amazing. So yeah. This is why I get so wound up when people say to me that I take things to heart too quickly, or I'm really mentally resilient. Like, I've been through a lot of stuff, and I'm still here. So that's why I hate trolling. I hate people going in on mental health. I hate it all. I hate toxicity, because I've spent an entire life in and around it. Where you're at school and you don't know if you're coming home. I've come home and my mum has set the curtains on fire. I've come home and it's been a fucking rocky life. But I'm here. I'm here, and that's the most important thing. And look at it now. Look, I'm at a point now in my life where every little dream that I'd hoped for could happen. We could be a homeowner. We've got a new car. Our channel business has gone well. And somebody's looking out for me. That's all I'm going to say. Somebody's smiling on me. So this is what pisses me off. Yeah, when I get all this shit, because people don't know my life at all. But they think they get to judge you based off a clip of 30 seconds, or tell you you're an embarrassment to a fan base. Yeah, that's why sometimes I bite on these things. I know I shouldn't. Right, some more super chats to get through. Mark said, so sorry to hear that, Craig. I lost both my parents to cancer. My dad passed away 3 weeks before my 18th birthday. The emotions raw. It is, man. And so I set myself a simple goal, right? So my grandfather died at 37. Again, unfortunately, drink was involved. My father died at 45, and I'm 43. So I've been petrified that I'm not going to see 50. But I am. Because I'm going to break that chain. And I'm going to make things different. And I'm going to change my kids' futures and trajectory. Larkin said, your story is very touching. You're very strong. Thank you, mate. Yeah. This is why, as I said to you, I see a psychologist every 2 weeks. I probably need it for the rest of my life. But this is why you all mean so much to me. Because there's not been many people in my life that haven't walked away or, left me, to pick up the pieces. My wife never walked away, and you guys never let me give up and never let me quit. So I'm going to continue to fight to make sure that we can, keep moving forward. Jeff said, Craig and Marcus, you never walk alone. Thank you, Jeff. Always a gent, mate. Always appreciate you being in, Jeff. Sorry, I didn't want to bring the tone down, by the way. It's just Marcus had mentioned about his brother unfortunately passing away, and it's life can be difficult at times, but you also have to count the wins, right? Because whilst I've had some difficult times in life, I've had some brilliant times as well. I'm living a dream right now. I'm a young lad from Shankill in South Dublin who's gets to talk about Liverpool for a living. So I'm very very aware of how fortunate I am. Kono said, my dad died of Parkinson's. I'm sorry to hear that, mate. I had an uncle a great uncle, excuse me, that passed away with Parkinson's as well, and it was tough to watch him fade away. So I've always said to you guys, I always thought that I would end up talking about this on the happy hour. I've always wanted to tell my life story from start to where we're at. I was going to say to finish, but we're not finished yet. And I was hoping I'd end up doing it on the happy hour podcast someday, but that chance doesn't look like it's going to come. So maybe I have to figure out a new way to explain what got me to here, because I think it would help some people without sounding pompous about it. Anyone have any tips for the junior cert? I do, and I'll tell you what my teachers told me, so nobody gives out to me. Soon as I got into fifth year, they said, "Don't worry about your junior cert, doesn't mean nothing." Not even joking to you, mate. So don't stress about it. Put your best foot forward. Your education isn't going to define you. It isn't. I have no formal third level education. You know, I finished secondary school, did my exams, did well. Life and issues at home meant I couldn't go to college. So, you know, don't let it stress you. There's always an avenue around these things. So do your best, which I'm sure you will. I'm sure your parents are proud of you anyway. And don't stress about it, man. It's just an exam. It doesn't measure who you are as a person. Mutz, top man, said, "You're a good man, Craig. Good family, and the Anfield Agenda family always have your back. Much love and continue shining." Oh, mate, I'm very blessed with the people in their community. Oh, it's incredible. I somebody's looking out for me, because to have you guys in my life is it's such a huge help. Somebody said something about Trent. Where is it? A book, maybe. I mean, I've always wanted to write a book, but not to do anything with it. You know, like a cathartic kind of experience, to just get it all out and then just rip it up and throw it in the bin. You know, I'd never publish anything, but yeah, I definitely did think about writing it, just, you know, for therapy. So anyway, sorry, somebody did say something about Trent. Where was it? Oh, there's my wife in the chat. She said, "I'm proud of you every day. You've been through so much that would have stopped other people from getting to reach their destiny, and now you get to help other people by giving them hope also." Well, thank you, wifey. But as I said, yeah, I wouldn't be here without that woman. If they made a movie of your life, who would you get to play you? Arna, obviously. Come on now, simple. Arna, this is, you know, it's easy now. So where's that comment about Trent, lads? I swear I seen a comment about Trent. 1 second. There. Demo channel said Trent staying. We don't know, mate, is the honest answer. Melissa Reddy today said Real Madrid remains hugely interested in Trent. Recent comments about winning the Ballon d'Or are very much off the Madrid hymn sheet. He's possibly the one who would take the most elbow grease in getting over the line. I hope he stays, but I've got to be honest with you, bro. I personally know nothing on the Trent situation. I couldn't tell you what way he's leaning. I couldn't tell you whether, you know, it's going in a good direction. I truly just don't know. His wife's in the chat. Yes, my wife's there, just above the "Must Say What You See" super chat. The Sabrina Houlden. That's my wife. Any truth in the Alphonso Davies story? I don't think so. I'd seen some stuff about Alphonso Davies and Manchester United, but not really seen anything linking him to Liverpool. And it's certainly never come up in conversation when I've spoken with David Lynch or anybody else. So, look, I can imagine that with him there'll probably be a bit of a bidding war. And I don't mean for a fee. I mean about his wages and signing on bonus. And usually when that kind of situation presents itself, Liverpool aren't getting into a bidding war for wages or signing on fees and stuff like that. So I think that'll be one that we'll will see Liverpool not step forward in personally. Minoda said, your story is definitely inspiring to get through and come out the other side. Well, I hope I get to, excuse the crass language, I hope I get to have the happy ending, because I don't feel like it's done yet. I still have to buy the house. I still have a few more life goals to achieve. And I still want to become the most subscribed to Liverpool community on YouTube. So let's hope we can keep moving in that direction as well. Right, I'm going to say good night, because my voice is starting to really wear out, and I want to make sure that I'm good to go for the watch along tomorrow. So a couple of things, a little reminder, we're going to be live from 4:30 tomorrow, because the game starts at 5:45. So we'll see you then. What's the news on the city, though the hearing was done? It is done, but it's believed that we'll get some type of an indication of what way it's gone in January, February. Then they expect there's going to be an appeal from either side, and that's going to rumble on to the end of the 25-26 season, as per many reports today. Yeah, so that's kind of where we're at with the city stuff. So yeah, tomorrow, 4:30 for the watch along. Don't forget, we're the early game in the Champions League tomorrow. So I will see you guys then. We'll be starting from 4:30. Thank you to everyone that joined us tonight. If you can drop a like before you head off, much appreciated. And yeah, we'll talk to you soon. Take care.